and welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. On today's episode, we are talking Hollywood. Everybody loves Hollywood. Everybody's trapped in their houses right now, and they are binge watching their favorite movies or TV shows. And I am so honored and excited to have the guest that I do today. He is one of Hollywood's most famous directors, producers, and writers, and his films are some of the most beloved classic feel-good movies of the 90s and today. And so with that being said, I want to bring on my guest, Mr. Dennis Dugan. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Are you surviving the quarantine all right?
I am. I'm here sitting. This is my art studio, so I spend pretty much all day every day in here.
I love it. So let's go back. I want to kind of start with maybe a little bit of Hollywood history. So what was let's tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like how you got into Hollywood. You started as an actor, right?
Yeah. I was an actor in New York, hacking around, just trying to get jobs. And I was there for about 3 years, and I finally got in an off-Broadway play. I replaced a guy.
Uh-huh.
And I was so excited I finally had a job. And then 6 weeks in, it was down in the Village. 6 weeks in, some guys broke into the theater, stole the safe, and burned the lobby. So they closed the play. And so they brought everybody together and they said, look, we're not reopening the play here, but we're doing it in LA. We're opening it there in a couple months. So we can't fly you there, put you up, but if you want to go to LA, you can do your part in LA. So I came to LA, I'd never been here before, and opened the play here and made a hit.
Wow.
And so got an agent, and I started working right away as an actor. And so I was an actor out here for a long time, did the same thing that everybody does, TV shows and occasional movie here and there. And then I did a play at the Mark Taper Forum that was a huge hit. And then I moved up one level, and I would do a pilot and that kind of thing pretty much every year. And I just had a nice life. And then, but while I was doing it, I was like, I grew up in Wheaton, Illinois, which had nothing to do with Hollywood or show business or anything. So then I started asking questions because I had only been on the stage. And so now I'm in TV shows and I'm asking them questions about why you have to do this and, why you're sitting there and they say, can you hold the glass in closer to your thing? So I would just ask a bunch of questions. I've said, okay, maybe I like this. So I won $3,000 in New York playing poker one time. And I brought the money back and bought a camera and a projector and some editing equipment, film. There wasn't video yet.
Uh-huh.
And so I made it. I wrote a film and directed it, a little silent film. And then I did another one, and then started working for Steve Cannell, who was a big writer-producer.
Okay.
He did Rockford Files and Hunter and 21 Jump Street and just a ton of those shows. So he had done a pilot that I did, and so he said, "You want to direct? Come direct for me." So I did some TV shows for him.
Wow.
And then I was cast on Moonlighting as Sybil Shepherd's husband. And I was on that for like 3 episodes, and then everybody this hated the fact that Bruce Willis wasn't going to end up with Sybil. So they called me and they go, "Look, we got to annul your wedding, but Bruce and Sybil love you. So would you come back and direct every other show next year?"
Wow.
Yeah, so that was great because that was the hottest show of the time. That was the show to do. So I did the whole year. And then I got a movie and then just started doing movies too. So
wow.
That's the way I staggered through the morass of Hollywood.
Right. So I want to talk about one of the films that I loved when I was a kid, which was that you directed, which was Problem Child.
Oh yeah, that was my first one. Yeah,
That was the first movie?
yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about that because everybody kind of see what the finished product, but they can you kind of take us a little bit behind the scenes of that one?
Well, again, I had no idea about anything politically or I Hollywood. I just came out here to be an actor, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll be a director, and it just kept happening. So uh, uh, I get this. The agent sends me this script, and they go, "You got to go in tomorrow morning. They need a director right away. Go in tomorrow morning." And so I get the script, and I I read it, and I it was a mess, and I didn't. It was just a mess. So I called Glenn Caron, who's the guy who's a big Hollywood writer who did Moonlighting.
Uh-huh.
I called Glenn and I go, Glenn, I said, I'm supposed to go in this movie. First, I said, first of all, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do in the meeting. And second of all, the script is like odd. And I don't, so he goes, what is it? I said, it's called Problem Child. And he said, oh, perfect. He said, I just turned that down. I said, really? And he goes, yeah, I turned it down. He said, it isn't for me, but it's perfect for you. Because so think about this. So he talked me through about what a pitch that I could make for like the changes and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
So I go in and I'm at Universal, and I'm up in the president's office at Universal, and it's the first time I've ever pitched myself for a movie ever. And there was about 10 guys in there and a huge wooden coffee table, gigantic thing in the middle of the office. And so I'm sitting there, and they're all in suits and stuff. And I go, okay, this is the one. This kid has got to be the kid that everybody's talking about the next day. They go, this kid does crazy stuff, and they're going, yeah. And I finally go, I stand up and I get up and I walk onto the coffee table, and I say, okay, you guys are all in your suits, and you're thinking, this fucking guy just got up and he's walking around on I said, I've never been in the president's office of anything, including the president of Universal. And now I'm going, this is really cool. I'm from Wheaton, Illinois, and I'm standing on the coffee table. And I go, when I leave this meeting, you guys are all going to say, that fucking nut went walking around on your coffee table. And they're all laughing, So I finish my pitch, I leave. And about 2 hours later, the president, Casey Silver, calls me up and he goes, Dennis, it's Casey Silver. I go, hey, Casey. And he goes, well, you got up on my coffee table and you got the movie.
That's amazing.
So that's the behind the scenes of that one.
Okay. And then take us to a little bit on set, kind of what was going on.
Well, Ritter, I knew John Ritter because we were both sort of the same age, and we'd both gone up on jobs against each other, and we'd worked together and stuff before. And so I talked him into doing it. And there's a girl that she had auditioned for an episode of Hunter that I was doing a couple of years before, and I thought she was really cute and really funny and a good actress, and I didn't hire her for that. But I kept her picture, and I went, oh, she'd be good as the wife in this movie. So we have a reading at my house, a read through of the script, and so I introduced John to her because they had never met before, and then they loved each other on the set, and they got married and had a kid.
That's right, I forgot about.
Yeah.
So wait, they started dating, they started frolicking on the set?
Yeah, well, off the set because it wouldn't be good for them.
Yeah, that would have been a different kind of movie.
Yeah. But yeah, so they I introduced them as husband and wife in my living room. So essentially, I should have been an ordained minister.
You were a matchmaker.
Yeah, or a matchmaker. Yeah, guy.
Wow. So how did you find the kid?
Oh my God, we auditioned every human being on earth. earth, and we couldn't find him. And just right before we were going to go, the casting director came in and said, I saw this commercial last night, this kid, and she said, I called him, I found him, and I'm bringing him in. And we're all just sitting there going, please be good, please be good, please. And he was good. He was a charming, charming little guy. I had to read every line to him about 50 times. In fact, I would put Ritter's, after I'd shot Ritter's coverage, I'd put his jacket on if I was doing over shoulder or whatever. And the kid would come in, we'd for his close up, and the kid would go, I'd say action. My shoulder would be on camera. And I'd say action. And then I go, good morning, Mr. Healy. And he'd go, good morning. I go, good morning. And we'd do it. He'd repeat my line. Like, we'd do it 50 times. Sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically but he was a good kid. But I basically had to paint by numbers with that one.
Yeah. So how were some of the scenes where he just kind of became reckless and?
Oh, that was all just crazy. Eventually it just becomes you're making a movie, and but because we had Michael Richards before he became unpopular for saying racist things. We had him when people still liked him.
Yes. And
he's like way out in outer space and funny and great and stuff. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
It was a surprise hit too, and nobody expected that movie to make.
Where was it filmed?
Dallas.
Oh, in Texas. Okay. And back in the 90s, how long did a movie take to film?
I think we had 40 days for that one.
Okay, gotcha. So they took a little bit longer. They seem to be shorter today, depending on the genre.
Yeah. Like the one I just did.
Uh-huh.
We had 26 days.
Wow. Well, because every day is money.
Yes. Yeah, now that you're a big producer, you know that now.
Well, of course. Well, I was a finance major too, but yeah, you got to make sure you keep those budgets in check, right?
Yeah. Well, that one was 40 days, and it was like $11 million or something. This one that I just did was 26 days and $11 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was, and we're talking 90 versus 2020 or 2019.
Yeah. But this one was tight. I couldn't have done this. I couldn't have shot the movie I just shot if I hadn't shot 15 other movies and 50 television shows. I had to use every single trick and invent a few new ones.
Yeah.
Just to make it, because it was 12-hour days too. We couldn't do overtime. It was just like.
You couldn't do overtime?
Nope. Get it done. 12 hours.
Why couldn't you do overtime? Because the unions?
No, because of money.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. So tell us a little bit about that movie you're talking about, because the listeners don't know.
I wrote a movie like 14 years ago called, it was originally called I Do.
Uh-huh.
And then for a number of years, it was called all one word, Love, Crazy Love, which I always liked, but no one else did. Then when we were going to start making it, all my producers said, you have to change the title. So it's called Love, Weddings, and Other Disasters.
Love it.
Yeah. And it's Diane Keaton and Jeremy Irons and King Batch. Do you know King Batch?
Yes.
Yeah. He's killer in it. Maggie Grace.
Uh-huh.
And Jesse McCartney.
Wow.
Diego Boneta.
Okay.
And Elle King. You know Elle?
No, where's she from?
Elle King, she plays the street singer in it, and she's a rock and roller. She did X's and O's.
Yes. Oh yeah, Ellie King.
Yeah.
Oh, Nice.
And she's Rob Schneider's daughter.
I did not know that.
I knew her from when we did, when she was his younger daughter. I put her in Benchwarmers. And so we were always kind of pals. And then she became this like rock and roller.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she sings and acts, and she's great and stuff. So it's a good movie, funny, romantic.
When do you think that we'll be able to see it?
Well, we're done with the editing, done with the testing. It's all set. We just need like 2 weeks of sound and music mixing and a week of color timing, and we're done. But then, where are we going to show it? On my garage wall?
I think with that cast and with your reputation and how talented you are, that it'll find a home so people can say, oh my gosh, I remember listening to him on that podcast talking about when he was just editing that film.
Oh, you know who else is in it is Gail Bennington.
Yeah.
You know her, Ron. She and Ron do the Bennington show.
I've been on it. She's great.
I was on it, and I said I was on it like 4 years ago, and and at that time we had money and we were going to make the movie, and then that fell apart. But I went on the show and I go, I said, Gail, I said I'm going to be doing this movie, and they go, oh, that's cool. And I go, I want you to be in it. And they both went, what? And I go, yeah, I'll send you the script. You want to be in it? And she goes, yeah, I want to be in it. Yeah. So, but then of course, then the money fell through, and I had to tell her she wasn't in it. And then finally we got it, and she came up. She's cute and fun. She's like, she'd never acted in a movie before, and she was perfect. Because she's used to talking all the time, and ad-libbing and being smart and stuff. So she's terrific in the movie.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see it. You keep talking about it, and I'm like, I gotta see this movie.
Okay, I'll show it to you someday.
Okay, cool, perfect. And hopefully we'll all be able to see it in the theaters soon or on demand.
Yeah, I think it's starting to smell like it could be a streamer, because who's gonna go to a movie theater?
So how do you think, because you've been in Hollywood for so long, and with this whole virus thing that's completely shaken everybody's world, how do you think Hollywood's going to change?
Well, whatever. There's going to be some business changes. Who knows when people go back to the movie theaters? But people like going to the movie theaters.
I do.
Yeah.
It's an experience. You get to go, and it's my excuse to eat junk food, and you have all the ones with the nice chairs, and I like to pick one movie per season to go and see, and also to support.
Right. Do you ever take the red vine and stick it in the popcorn and then out, so you get a little bit of salt and a little bit of oil on it?
No, but that sounds like a great idea. I got to do that.
I'm telling you, next time you're in a theater, do that. Dip the red vine in the popcorn.
I like it. So let's go to because you had mentioned Ellie King was in your movie. She's the daughter of Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider and you go way back, because he has been in a lot of your films. So let's talk about how you originally came in contact with Adam Sandler and became like his go-to guy.
Well, I did Problem Child, which was a hit. And then I was hired to do a movie for the Zucker brothers, who did Airplane and all those really funny spoof movies.
Okay.
And they were the hot guys at the time, and they'd never hired a director outside director, because they always directed everything. So they saw Problem Child and they said, okay, we want you to direct this movie, which was kind of like a Marx Brothers sort of movie.
Uh-huh.
It ended up John Turturro and Bob Nelson, and a British actor. But while we were casting, I think pretty much after they hired me, they were sort of pissed off that they hired me, because they wanted to do it. They just wanted to do. I don't think they realized that when you hire a director, he's going to do the directing.
Yeah. Hello.
I think they were kind of cranky about the fact that they'd given up control. So I was having trouble getting anything I wanted to do through. So I suggested this guy from Second City, but right after I suggested him, Saturday Night Live did their sweep through and grabbed him, and that was Chris Farley.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we missed him. And then I brought in a tape of a guy who was on TV at the time. And they barely looked at the tape and they said, nah, he's a TV guy. So we didn't hire Jim Carrey.
Oh, gee, wow.
He was on In Living Color.
Uh-huh.
So we missed Farley. We just missed Farley, but they wouldn't consider Jim Carrey. And then I brought this other guy in 4 times, and they finally said, don't bring him in anymore. He's not getting the job. And that was Adam Sandler, who wasn't Adam Sandler at the time.
Right.
He was, his original name of Biff Worthington was his actual name.
Biff?
No, it isn't.
Oh, I was like, what?
He changed it to Adam Sandler. For the Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't Biff Worthington. He was Adam Sandler. So he didn't get the job. So we make the movie, and it was a complete flop called Lame Ducks. And so a couple years later, and now I'm cold. I can't get a job now in movies. I'm back doing TV.
Okay.
And so I get a call, and they say, hey, there's a movie. They're 5 weeks from shooting. They don't have a director. Go in tomorrow morning, first thing. So I go whipping through this script, and I have like 10 pages of notes and stuff, and I'm completely prepared. I walk in at Universal, walk in the door, open the door, and Adam Sandler's standing there. And he goes, you? And I go, you? And he turns to I'm just standing in the door. And he turns to everybody and he says, this guy, and he tells that story. He goes, he brought me back 4 times. Every time I went back, I would call people and say, okay, I've got this movie because I'm going back in again. And he said, and then I didn't get it. But he said, you stood up for me.
Yeah.
So you're doing this movie. I'm just inside the door.
That's awesome.
So what I do is I have my 10 pages of notes and I go like this. Okay, great. Because I realized at that point, all I can do is talk myself out of the job that I just got.
Yes, that's true. What movie was that?
A little golf movie called Happy Gilmore.
Which was a huge hit.
Yeah. But that's who Adam is. Adam is like a completely loyal, good, honest guy, and stands with you. And you stood up for me. You're doing this job.
I love that, and that's how it should be.
That was great. And then so we did that, and then we did Big Daddy, and then we got on a run of like 7 in a row, whatever, 8 in a row.
I mean, they've all done so well. And they're just those movies that you could watch in the theater paying attention, or they're also the movies that you want to watch over and over again, a movie that you can be hungover and watch because you've seen it so many times, you can kind of go in and out,
You should be hungover and watch.
Yeah.
I recommend that.
Right, exactly. So one of Adam's recent movies that I loved was The Grown-Ups.
Oh yeah.
Too, which were great. And they've done a couple, like when they air them on TV, they'll do a couple behind the scenes where they had you talking about some of those scenes. Can you tell us more about that movie? Like the behind the scenes part of Grown-Ups.
Grown-Ups. Well, I remember we were in the editing room, maybe on Zohan or something like that, one of those. And because there was one year when we were going to do Jack and Jill.
Okay.
And I went to, right before Christmas, Perry Blake, the production designer, and I flew to New York. We went all through Queens, and we were location scouting. Through Christmas, through New Year's, we did about 2 weeks. We had thousands of photos and stuff. We get back, and Sandler calls me into his office, and his partner Jack was there, and Jack says, "I'm going to tell him," and Adam says, "I'm going to tell him," and Jack says, "No, I'm going to tell him." Adam says, "I'm going to tell him," and I think, okay, I'm fired. So Sandler goes, "Okay, so Jack and Jill, we have the slot next year. We have the Valentine's Day slot, and that was to be Jack and Jill. But then we decided that isn't romantic enough for a Valentine's Day movie. Mm-hmm. So we have this other script. So we're going to push Jack and Jill." So I'm thinking, because we've done like 5 movies in a row, and I go, I can get time off now.
Yeah.
So we're going to push it until the fall, and we're going to slot in this other movie. Jennifer Aniston just said she'll do it. So it's called Just Go With It. So we're going to do that first and then this. And I go, okay, great. So great. And they said, well, you're doing both of them. And I go, in a year? And they go, yeah.
Wow.
And I went, okay. They go, here's the script. Go back to your office and get them. So stop this and start that. And I go, okay. So I'm walking back, and I go, so I'm going to not have a day off for over a year.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, all right, well, you've got to be somewhere. You're always somewhere. And I'm just going to be here or somewhere at work. So I literally did. I had taken Christmas off 2 weeks before, and I didn't have a day off until Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And I took Thanksgiving and the Friday off, and then Christmas, and that was it. For 18 months, I worked every day for 18 months. So it was true. I was somewhere all the time. But we did that. We did Just Go With It, and then Jack and Jill back to back.
So I heard what was it? There was some of the articles like Jennifer Aniston was because Brooklyn Decker was on that, and that's when she was really hot, and she had this banging body, and she was young. That Jennifer Aniston was working out twice a day on set.
I don't think that's true. She wasn't working out on set.
Right.
Plus, meanwhile, Jennifer Aniston doesn't have to worry about anything in the hot zone.
Right. That's what I was like, what?
No, that isn't true. But the thing about Jennifer Aniston is she's so good. It's comedically, and also just as an actress, she's just as good as anybody that I've ever worked with, and works really, really hard. So she comes prepared, and then will ad lib with the best of them, and you just go. You don't have to be shy about. You don't have to be diplomatic with her about, hey, can you try this line reading, whatever. She's, yep, sure, good, right. Just could not be a better partner in making a movie.
Oh, that's probably why she's so successful.
I think so. Yeah. God almighty. Yeah, she's good in those commercials too.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but she does not use Aveeno. There's no way. I don't even use Aveeno, and I'm not near her net worth.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say anything about how hot you are because of the new, Harvey Weinstein stuff.
Well, thank you.
But you're just such a charming, beautiful girl.
Oh, well, thank
you. Yeah. Despite being a Republican too, and that's okay.
Hey, I'm not a Republican. I am a independent.
Wow. Nice
I
goal.
love everybody.
Very nice. Very nice. Instead of being a Republican who hates everybody.
Right. I'm an independent who loves everybody.
Yeah, that's fabulous. What a nice life
I
choice.
can hang out with all the liberals. I can hang out with the Republicans. I'm a chameleon. I just blend in.
Absolutely fabulous. But I didn't answer your grown-ups question at all, did I? No.
No, but I have a feeling that there was leading into those.
No, I don't know why I thought of that. But oh yeah, because I was sitting in the editing room, and Sandler goes, "Oh, I had this idea that we'd get Kevin and Schneider and Chris, and we just get it and Spade, and then we just have we have a reunion movie thing." And I go, "Okay, great." It's like 14 minutes later, there's a script, and then we're doing grown-ups.
Who wrote the script for Grown Ups?
I can't remember. I can't remember who did the first, because there's a sort of a way that he works. Tim does, sometimes he does the original. So Adam sometimes has the idea and then farms it out to various people, and then when the first one comes in, then he'll farm it out to somebody else, or he'll have two guys doing separate rewrites on it, and then take the best of that. And once that conglomeration has been put together, then he beats on it.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
yeah. So that's the way that went. And then I chime in with my notes. So grown-ups, then we suddenly we're doing grown-ups.
Yeah.
And one of the stories behind that was we couldn't find the lady to play Rob Schneider's older wife.
Oh, I loved her.
Yeah, Joyce Van Patten.
Uh-huh.
So we read everybody, all the ladies of that age, and they just didn't get it. So the casting guy says to me, I said, "What about Joyce Van Patten?" And he said, "Weren't you married to her?" And I go, "Yeah, I was." And he goes, and he goes, "Oh, well, how's that?" And I go, "She hates me." And he goes, "Really?" I go, "She hates me." And I said, when we did Big Daddy, I offered her a part, and she said on the phone, she goes, "I wouldn't be directed by you if you were the last director in Hollywood," and hung up on me. And he said, "Well, I don't think that's going to work out then." And I go, "I don't think so." So about a week later, we're doing something, and Sandler says to me, What are you with the Van Pattens?" And I go, "I was married to one of them." And he goes, "Well, we got a tape from New York of Joyce Van Patten, and she's great." I go, "Yes, she's great." I said, "She's the one I was married to." And he goes, "No." And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "What?" And I go, "Well, she hates me." And he said, "Okay, then fine. We'll just find somebody else. I don't care." So I couldn't figure out why she had read on tape. So I called a friend of ours, a mutual friend, and I said, "Joe," I said, "did Joyce know that when she read on tape, did she know that I was directing that movie?" And he goes, "Let me check." So he calls back and he goes, "Yeah, she knew." And I go, "Well, what?" And he goes, "She's over it. Everything's fine, whatever." So I said, "Well," so I called her and I go, "You knew?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Is everything okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's forget it. I'm good, whatever." And I said, "All right, fine, because Sandler loves you." And
Yeah.
I said, "My sets, everybody's really happy." And I said, "I don't like any drama on the sets at all. So you got to be cool." And she goes, "I'm cool, whatever, I'm good." So boom, she got the job. And
Wow.
yeah, and it was great too, because it kind of closed the circle. And then about a year later, she called me up when the movie came out, and she goes, I just got two movies, and she said I was dead in movies, and I thank you for getting me that, and blah, blah, blah. So now we're pals again.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
So where was that one filmed? Was it back east?
Yeah, yeah. Grown Ups was north of Boston, at a lake north of Boston, and then Grown Ups 2 was in Marblehead, north of.
Okay. So, and when I think a lot of people like to know this, when they see houses in movies, are those actual houses that you film in, or did you build another set for those?
Well, Grown Ups 2, where he had the mansion and then the huge party
Yes.
in the back. That was the party was like 3 weeks of shooting, and it was all at night. So you can't do comedy. You just can't do nights for comedy. It just by about 3:30 in the morning, nobody could speak.
Right.
So we were looking everywhere to find a house that we could tent in the big backyard. And so eventually we went to a school that had a really shitty football field, and we basically took over their football field and built a soundstage on the football field of those those metal shipping cargo things.
Yes. Great. Uh-huh.
We built a 3 high all the way around the football field.
Wow.
And then it's called a sprung tent. You know, those big, they have them at airports.
Yep.
Big sprung tent on the top.
Okay.
Brought in 500 trees, and we built the back of the house. So in Marblehead, we shot the front of a real house.
Okay.
And the interior of that house. And then the back of the house, we built the back of the house, the whole backyard, dug a swimming pool, whatever, and shot that. If you look at it, you can't. There's no way that you would not believe that we were in some neighborhood.
That's amazing. So the house that was Adam and Salma Hayek's in the movie,
yeah,
was actually a real house, and then the inside was real as well. So you didn't build sets for that; you went straight into the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, because that's what I think a lot of people like. I was in Chicago when I was performing comedy over Christmas, and Home Alone's my favorite holiday movie. And I was like, if I'm in Chicago around Christmas, like I have to go see the Home Alone house. So I went out and saw it, and I was so disappointed to find out that everything was pretty much filmed in a high school, not in the house.
Sorry.
I know, but it was okay. But it was still really fun to see the house.
Also, the good part, one of the nice parts about doing that, was when we were done, they obviously lifted everything off, took it all back away, and we built them a new football field.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So they have this really cool football field when they had just like junk.
And they can say that the party scene was filmed on our football field, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, and then when you find these houses for the movies, obviously the people that live there, if it's occupied, have to move out. What do you typically have to pay them?
It just depends. Usually, you put them up in a hotel or another house or whatever. It just depends on the budget.
Yeah.
On those movies, it was just like, sure, whatever. The budgets were crazy on those movies.
Right. I mean, that's what it seemed like. It was just kind of fun money. What were the budgets on that? 35 million? 55 million? 65 million?
Yeah, like 70, 80.
Well, they did really well, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So at least they kind of, but that was such a movie that I think was so successful because, you had the cast was so great and everybody could relate to somebody like within that cast. but also it was kind of where people were. They were kind of growing up with these guys.
Yeah, yeah,
In a
yeah.
way. So it was just a really cool. I always love watching it. Whenever it's on TV, I'll watch it. So you're welcome for your residual checks if you get them as directors.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk about uh, if you have advice for people that are listening. Maybe they've got a story or something they've written. How can they get it in front of somebody to really get considered? Because a lot of people, so many people have great ideas, but they just can't get them to the right people. So what is your I can't even speak. What is your advice for that?
Well, go to a speech therapist, number one.
Yes, that's for me, right?
Yeah, that's for you in case you want to actually
Busting my balls.
uh, uh, well, the trick is like what you and I know. It's like you're being a creator.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to, there's a million ways now, like way different from when I was starting out. There's a million ways to get stuff seen. Like King Batch, King Batch, who's in my movie.
Okay.
Started on Vine.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, and he became like a superstar on Vine. I think he has 18 million followers now.
They're unbelievable.
He farts, that's 2 million people watching. uh, so he got in that way. If you've got something that you've written, it's hard to get people to read stuff. We know that. You and I have talked about that.
Uh-huh.
But you can also film it, or you can do, you can just get your phone and film a piece of it, or you just got to figure out some way to bang through all the noise.
Right, exactly. It's, staying innovative and
yeah, but definitely, if you're not a writer, team up with a writer. Or if you're not a writer and you want to be in the business, be a writer, because that's the foundation of everything. Nothing gets done unless something has been written.
Right.
So I always say, be a creator, not a waiter, and not a waiter in the taking it, but waiting around for someone else to create something so that you could get cast in it, or you could direct it or something. You start right at the source.
Right, exactly. Use what you have, right?
Yeah, yeah. And if you're not that person, team up with somebody and be a team. But
Yeah.
the trick is content, and there's more need for content now than ever before.
Right, because there's so many platforms.
Yeah, and more coming. NBC streaming, that's coming on, and things channels you can't even get. I have DirecTV. I have everything package. There's a little gold thing up in the corner. If you press that, you pay for everything that's on television anywhere in the world, and it costs $100,000 a month.
Yeah, right.
But I've got the DirecTV everything, and there's still stuff that I had. We had to sign up for something, Minx or something, the other day to try to watch something else that we didn't have, and I went, "How do we not have it?"
I feel like every single day a new service is popping up. Like HBO just launched their streaming service.
They did?
Yeah, they did, at like $15 a month. I'm like, wow.
Get me that, and get me it now.
Yeah.
Talking to my people.
Oh, on your mouse pad?
Yeah, it's a Siri mouse. Leave me alone.
Wait, so what is we're gonna have fun questions. What is like your most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you? Like on a set?
Oh boy. I can tell you that I can't remember, but I can tell you, I had a meeting with a studio exec one time who told me his most embarrassing moment ever.
Voluntarily?
What?
He just told you this voluntarily?
Well, we were talking about he had just they had a baby, and he had just had the baby like 2 days before. And I said, we've been trying to get pregnant forever. And he goes, oh, we were. I said, you know, I used to be a guy. I used to be a breast man, but I said, now when I see a little plastic cup, I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
So every doctor's office in Beverly Hills, I was samples everywhere. So he says to me, he said, I did the same thing. In fact, we knew the same doctor. He said, and now I know my most embarrassing moment for the rest of my life. I said, what? He goes, everywhere. I was like giving some, and they finally said, okay, one more. We got one more test. Go to this doctor's office. And he goes, nurse takes him into the room. She gives him 2 cups. And she says, put some in each. And he goes, okay, fine, whatever. So it closes the door, and, you know, it's hard enough to get it in 1, but 2 is like a difficult thing. Yeah. So anyway, he does it, opens the little door, puts him in there, closes the door, comes out. She goes, okay, wait in there for the doctor. So he goes in the other room with her. She comes in about 3 minutes later and says, we wanted a urine sample.
Oh. That is the greatest story ever.
Yeah. So he said, I know they laugh at me to this day.
Well, of course, right? They were probably like, what the hell is this stuff? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's my most embarrassing story.
Okay. What's your favorite TV show?
Now?
Ever?
Yeah. I loved Seinfeld.
Yeah, that was a great one, right?
I loved Seinfeld. I loved All in the Family. You couldn't get me when All in the Family was on.
Yes.
We're just heartbroken here that Homeland just ended.
Yeah.
Are you a Homeland person?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard lots of great things about it.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. And then in my TV room, I have a big TV, and then a not so big TV, and a not so big TV.
Okay.
On this wall. So when there's like sports on, it's like an NFL weekend or baseball playoffs, we have sports on every TV.
Oh, wow.
Or during the election, we have CNN in the middle, Fox on the right, and MSNBC on the left.
Oh, so you get all the bullshit opinions.
Absolutely. So that's the only time that all 3 are on. Okay. Elections and sports.
Gotcha.
Except Monday night. The Voice.
Oh, you're a big Voice guy?
Love The Voice, and we put it on all 3 TVs, so it's like you're in Circuit City surround room.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the answer to my TV question.
And what about your favorite movie of all time?
It's between Love Actually and all of my movies. No. I think
You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to be proud of your work. You did it. I love your work.
Love Actually is pretty awesome.
Uh-huh.
But you know, the other night, we've been watching, for some reason, the big TV, when you turn it on, now comes on to 5:38. It starts out at 5:38, which is Stars Westerns.
Modern Westerns? Or
No, old John Wayne, old westerns, and it's awesome. So it turns out we go, oh, let's watch. So we've watched like 20 westerns during the quarantine period.
Wow.
And the other night we watched Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Uh-huh.
Completely held up. Have you ever seen it? No.
No.
Oh my God.
Got to put on my quarantine list before life goes back.
Oh, for sure. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. You got to watch that.
Okay.
And then a couple nights ago, we tuned around and got a third of the way into Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah.
So we watched the rest of that and then searched around and found it and then watched the first third.
Okay.
And then the next night we watched Kill Bill and Kill Bill 2.
Very cool. So you've been staying busy during the quarantine between work and getting naked for the camera on Instagram and cooking. I love it. Because it was, so tell them what you were doing. You've been doing like this dress for dinner.
Yeah. Well, we're quarantined. Yeah, we're quarantined. And so, but it's me and my wife, and then our pal, Billy Concha, who's living here now, I guess forever. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I was like, how did he get there? Has he always been there?
Yeah, he stays on and off, but he's our dear pal. So, and is this rosiest, sunniest guy. I mean, always just
awesome.
Absolutely great guy and a great pal for the quarantine. So, but meanwhile, you get up and you're just slopping around in your sweats, and then dinner is cooked by the lovely Sharon Dugan, who is like this world-class chef. And so I said about 3 weeks ago, I said, we got to dress for dinner. And they both go, yep, we're dressing for dinner. So we started dressing for dinner and we started Instagramming it. And people go, we missed a couple nights and people go, where's dress for dinner? We're missing dress for dinner.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. Every night we do a photo or we do something clever.
Yep.
I think it's clever. And that's dress for dinner. And by the way, it's actually good because at 4:00, 4:30, whatever, you go, oh, I gotta go get dressed for dinner. And you feel good, you feel better, and you feel like a person. We light candles.
Yeah, so at least you're like kind of bringing some normalcy.
Yeah.
And excitement to the whole quarantine. Do you shower every day?
Yes, I do.
I've heard people aren't showering. I didn't wear a bra for 3 weeks, right? But I did shower every day.
Well, I haven't worn a bra since the whole thing started.
Yeah.
But I still shower. Yeah, because I work out every day, so I have to shower after the workout.
This is true. Well, yeah, and we like to focus on the Next to Madison podcast, like on health and wellness. So we'll wrap up with kind of what are some of your health tips that you have? Because you've just got so much energy and you're in great shape. Like, what do you do to keep it going?
Okay, well,
Viagra doesn't count, but like.
What doesn't count?
Viagra.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. So then I don't have an answer. Fine. Take my answer and trash it.
Exactly.
No, I work out every day, 6 days a week. I work out aerobics and thing. I can't play tennis, but I normally either work out or play tennis.
Okay.
And then in the morning, a smoothie every morning.
What's in it?
In the smoothie is an avocado. There's 3 of us. An avocado, a banana, cranberry juice, orange juice from the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the avocados now are from the tree too, because I put in 2 avocado trees, and they're
nice.
Avocados. And then I will slice up some dates, prunes, yogurt. Did I say cranberry juice? Yep, cranberry juice. And then frozen peaches or frozen mangoes or sour frozen cherries. Combos of those go in.
Okay.
And so that's the morning. And then lunch is like something good, usually, or a lean cuisine, depending on how lazy life is. And then dinner is always like, we just eat real food. We, it's kind of the Mediterranean diet, and
Yeah.
Sharon cooks the Mediterranean diet. So it's just real fruit, real vegetables, and meat or fish, So it's all, we just eat healthy.
And that's really the key, because you sound like you have a lot of energy. Do you always feel energetic every day?
Yeah, pretty much. I wake up like, I don't drink coffee.
You
I,
don't? Wow. Okay.
I wake up, if I'm writing,
Mm-hmm.
I wake up and I go right to the desk and start writing for a couple hours. And then I eat and do stuff, workout stuff, and then go back to writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then now when I'm doing this, artwork, I get up, work out, and do breakfast. And then I come in and do a session, eat lunch, do a session, and then go.
Wow. Yeah. So because you definitely have the energy. So there's no plans to stop or with retirement for you, is there?
What I know, because
Good.
I feel like I'm lucky because I do what I love doing. So I don't feel like why would I not do it?
Well, that's exactly right. I feel like you only retire when you hate what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although the other day I took the movie over to somebody to watch the movie who runs one of the studios.
Uh-huh.
And so it was me, him, and the projectionist. And the projectionist said, "I'll be outside." And I go, "No, it's okay. Just, you want to watch it?" He goes, "Okay, good." Just like some 58-year-old guy, just a regular nice person who had no idea me or whatever, just sat down to watch the movie.
Uh-huh.
And like, it's a comedy, but there's two, I'm not laughing because I know it. And there's two other men sitting there. It's a romantic comedy. And so again, there's a laugh here, a laugh there, but none of that contagion stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going, and I'm just sitting there going, I fucking hate this. I'm not ever directing another movie again. I can't stand this agony. And it ends, the lights come up, and my friend that says, I knew it was a comedy, but I didn't know it was so romantic. He said, it's so good. He goes, I got tears in my eyes, he said. And the projectionist guy turns around and says, thank you so much. He said, this movie made me so happy.
But that's the feeling you're going for. That's got to make you feel so good.
It made me feel great, but I had an hour and a half of fucking agony before it.
Right. So how do you deal with that? Because the thing is with movies, with like creators, actors, anyone in entertainment, we're kind of being driven on people's opinions.
Yeah.
How do you kind of block out the naysayers?
You're a stand-up, know. You just, do your work as diligently and as creatively and as hard as you possibly can, and then just trust that if you jump off the building, you'll sprout wings.
Or fall flat on your face.
Yeah, or fall flat on your face. One of the two.
Whatever's meant to be, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been great. I mean, it's so much fun to kind of go down, history lane with Hollywood and the different movies and things that I grew up on, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners did. And providing us with so much insight. So tell us the name again of your new film, so when it does get announced where it's going to be airing, that people can remember it and look out for it.
Yep. It's Love, Weddings, and Other Disasters.
Excellent.
It's Diane Keaton and Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I can't wait, because I've heard you talk about it so much, and I'm like, I just want to see this movie.
Well,
But Dennis, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. And again, you guys, the guest today is Dennis Dugan, who is one of the most famous, amazing writers, directors, and producers in Hollywood. So if you haven't seen all his films, I highly recommend it. Now we've got the time, especially during this quarantine. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening to another episode of Next to Madison. And we'll see you guys next time to find out who's next. Hi, your host, Madison Malloy here. I just wanted to remind you guys to please follow the show on social media at Next to Madison. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the show, or you feel that you would be a great guest on the show and would love to be considered, please feel free to email me at nexttomadison@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms. And I thank you again for listening.